Sue, everyone. How are
Jonas.
you? Welcome to Angkor Baby. We're starting a little bit early this evening because I have uh, some engagements that are happening this evening, and so it might be too loud. So my special guests for this evening are the two American sisters. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hey, how
Hello,
are
good.
you?
Great, thank you. You're podcasters and diversity leaders, and it's an honor for me to have you both on the show this evening.
Well, it's an honor to be here, and thank you for inviting us.
You're
It means
welcome.
a lot that you reached out to us. Thank you.
Ah, you're very welcome. Thank you for replying too, by the way, and helping me out big time. And so, you're both you have an extensive background in championing for diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout your personal and professional journeys. It's what we pulled from your bio on your website, which is professionally done. Well, by the way,
Oh,
I,
thank
Thank
you.
you.
We worked hard on that.
We work together.
indeed, and I enjoyed listening to your podcasts and all your guests that you had on. And Hella Schley is like one of my favorite people, and
Yay. He's
yeah,
so
he's
nice
Yeah, he's
to us.
great.
Yeah.
indeed, most definitely. So, Melissa, we'll start with you, and then we'll alternate with Jasmine. Um,
Sounds
Sure.
good.
cool. For Melissa, you chaired the Diversify and Inclusion Council for 2 consecutive years at a Fortune 500 company, and won a Culture Change Agent Award at the 2015 Global Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Conference.
Yes.
What are some stories from that chapter of your life?
So, um, I work at an aerospace company, pretty large. And when I first started, I supported the regular work statement, but I wanted to do something more. And I reached out to a director and told her about my passion in diversity. And then she introduced me to the Diversity Council. And as soon as I discovered what they do, their initiatives, I was hooked, and I was so passionate about educating and celebrating diversity of people and rolling out different initiatives across the company so that they were more aware of different cultures and backgrounds and even genders. And um, that was the start of it all. I knew that going to work every day that really motivated me to work with people. So after that, I was part of it for 5 years and decided to step up to be a chair and continued on with my work. And that's on top of my normal work statement. So this was something I did on my own time. Um,
Wow.
and we won the Culture Agent Award at the one of the biggest conferences. And after that, I've been with this company for, gosh, almost a decade now. And
Wow.
this year, I was named one of the Technology Rising Stars, and I will be honored this October.
Wow.
Um,
I'm very proud of her.
Thanks.
Indeed.
Yeah. But I am a project manager, and I've had some management experience. Just got my MBA last year and had some free time. And especially with this quarantine now, there's more time given back in our days. And that's when Jasmine and I talked, and we decided to start this passion project.
It's a great passion project indeed, most definitely, and all the projects and all your information scrolling on the bottom there. And I wanted to make sure Anchor was on there, your website, your Twitter, your Instagram, all that stuff. And
Oh,
it,
thank you.
you're welcome. And it's also scrolled on if you go on YouTube, you'll see it in the description box below, so you can just click on it if you're viewing it from home. So, and Jasmine, you earned your master's degree in teaching and endorsements in elementary K through 8 and English language learner through the Seattle Teacher Residency Program (STR) in 2018. What are some stories in that one?
Well, there's a lot that goes into it, but Seattle Teacher Residency gave me the opportunity to become a teacher because during my undergrad, I was kind of lost. I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. And there were a lot of voices saying, oh, that is like teaching doesn't make a lot of money and all of that. And so I kind of pushed teaching away and I started a career in the corporate world. And after about a year and a half, I just felt really miserable going into work every day because if you look back on my experiences, whatever opportunity I had was working with students, with kids, whether that was in Jumpstart at the UW, University of Washington, whether it was volunteering at a daycare. It just always was a passion for me, but I didn't think that I could pursue teaching. So my boyfriend encouraged me to look into it, and I didn't think there would be an opportunity, but I found Seattle Teacher Residency, which allows anybody with a bachelor's degree and experience working with kids to apply. And I also learned about their mission about creating racial equity in our schools. And I got a chance to learn about Seattle schools and the history behind it and the inequities that are present and the importance of teachers, especially teachers of color, to be in the workforce, because a majority of our teachers in our country are white women. And as our schools are getting more diverse, our teachers are not. So it's amazing how the path kind of led me to teaching, and I'm glad I did, because now I feel like every day I am working towards the future because I'm helping make education a better experience for my students and families. And I just find so much purpose every single day that I'm doing this. So this upcoming school year will be my 3rd year of teaching. So really excited. We just finished a Jumpstart week with kindergarten. So the kindergartners got to practice online with us.
They know how to
Yeah.
use Zoom and
Or
how to
Teams.
unmute
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be an interesting year, but I feel really confident as a teacher now. I think it's interesting because when I was a child, I was so shy. And then as I grew up, I thought I would never be a teacher because people wouldn't be able to say my last name. And also I wasn't very outspoken. So I didn't know how I would be able to handle a class of kids. But yeah, I've grown a lot personally and with my mission for racial equity through teaching. So that's it in a nutshell. Oh my goodness. But I'm really thankful for STR in my cohort 5.
Yay!
Yeah, and yeah, it feels really great to be a teacher.
Indeed. I totally understand where you're coming from with the high paying job compared to the low paying job. And I always found when I was working the low paying jobs that I had so much more fun there than I had with the one that paid the most.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's not really about the money, it's more about the love and,
Yeah.
and you just let it elevate you and it's totally worth the journey.
Yeah, and I also learned too that there's actually a lot of opportunities to advance your salary as a teacher, which no one told me about. So I guess my advice for people is if you are passionate about something, just go for it and then you can make it work somehow.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
great advice.
Indeed. And Melissa, you're also a Discovery Program graduate of the Executive Development Institute, EDI, for Asian American professionals.
Mhm.
What's the story of that chapter of your life?
Oh gosh. So this was started back in I think the early 2000s, and someone at work told me about it, that there's a leadership program developed specifically for minorities. So they have 2 different programs, one for Asian Americans and the other one is for Hispanics. And this is only based in the Puget Sound area or Portland. And I asked my boss year after year, can I participate in this program? And on my 3rd year, I finally received the okay to go ahead and apply. And I was so thankful that I did. And it's all about the connections. I expanded my network in getting to know multicultural leaders in the Puget Sound area. And to this day, I'm still friends with half the people in the program who I graduated with. And basically, this program is developed for Asian Americans because, we have a very unique background and different culture than, our white peers. And there are specific learning tools and that we need to go through to better ourselves as leaders. And especially if we want to move up within the workforce, if we want to climb the ladder, because there's, I think, less than 2% of Asians that are in executive positions. And there's a reason why, because we're always seen as not being outspoken, and not opinionated, and we're seen as being quiet and soft-spoken. So this program helps you gain more confidence in yourself. And each month has a different learning theme. Like 1 month you might work on your public speaking, and another month you might work on learning more about yourself, your personality. Another month maybe hearing from executives who have Asian American background and learning how they took risk in order to be successful in life. So it's really, really great program. I found it to be very valuable.
Indeed, I totally understand. I'm one of those passive types too, and I just go with the flow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whatever happens, happens. I'm not gonna go against the stream. I'm just gonna just float on by, and it's worked out so far. Indeed. And so, Jasmine, you're currently teaching kindergarten at a Title I school in Seattle Public Schools, actively reflecting on your personal and teacher identity. What are some what can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, I talked a little bit about it, but a major thing that I've learned as a teacher and through STR is building relationships with our students and families, and that's the core of my teaching philosophy. Like before kids can do any academics, they have to trust you first, and they have to be seen and heard by you. So I tell my kids a lot about my experiences as a Khmer American. The fact that growing up, I felt ashamed to speak Khmer because I didn't like my accent, and that kind of pushed me away from wanting to try it. And then eventually I lost the language. I can understand it completely, but speaking it is really hard. And then as kids at school spoke English, I spoke English more, and our parents kind of just allowed it. So I tell my kids that, my students that, so that they can build confidence in their culture, in their family. And it's interesting, Sareth, because even the kindergartners are already saying, I don't want to speak my home language, or I don't want to speak, or I don't want to talk about my culture. And I'm shocked by that because they're just 5 and 6 years old and they're already going through that path. So I try to tell them, like, Miss Moon's not really proud of, pushing away my culture and language when I was younger. And now as an adult, I wish I did that. So, and also it's an asset too. The more languages you learn, the easier it is to learn English and to learn academics. So with my identity, like as a teacher, I talk a lot about my identity to my kids. And I love to read stories about multicultural literature. I love to talk about different kinds of people, topics, and issues. And even though they're kindergartners, they can talk a lot about the world and ask really meaningful questions and have meaningful solutions. And I think people often think about kindergarten and they just tell me when I say that I'm a kindergarten teacher, they're like, oh, that's cute. But we actually do a lot more than people think. They're expected to read and write. And for me, I expect them to talk about things that adults talk about too. So during online teaching in the spring, when George Floyd's video showed up, we spent that next week just talking about Black Lives Matter, which we did learn about earlier in the week. So with my kids, like, I know that they can handle these things and talk about these things. So as a teacher, I feel like it's my job to make that safe space for them to be themselves and to be treated seriously, because they're going to grow up and become leaders. So that's kind of my philosophy.
But you can see like how valuable it is to have more teachers who are someone of color, right? To teach diversity to children at a young age. You don't need to wait until you're an adult, to start learning, right? You can start very young to start talking about these issues.
And it also helps me connect with the families too, because a lot of our families work long hours, manual labor jobs. They speak another English other than another language other than English. Sorry, I was teaching my kindergartners this morning, so I'm like, all over the place.
She's been in meetings all day long today.
Yeah, but it's amazing to do my work, and I also want to encourage other people to, especially teachers of color, more people to become teachers of color, teachers in the workforce.
Yeah,
indeed, I totally get it, and I, where I was growing up, there was hardly any Khmer folks, and so like when my friends heard me speak Khmer to my mom, because like that's the only language we communicate in. It's like they were just blown away. It was like, I didn't even know you were bilingual. And I'm like, yep. I just kept it a secret for a long time, and they were just amazed by it. But Melissa, You're well versed in leading and facilitating the group discussions as a program and project manager um, at a highly competitive leadership development program called Leadership Next. How
Yeah.
did you join forces with Leadership Next?
Well, so it took me like about 5 years for me to be comfortable being a project manager, and I'm really lucky to have very supportive managers and advocates who supported my personal development. And if they had never told me about these programs, I would have never applied. And with Leadership Next, I was really reluctant to apply because I didn't think I would get selected, but I went ahead and did it, applied for this program, and I had to have an executive sponsor, had to write an essay, um, you know, uh, clean up my resume, and then I went through a group interview. And for me, like similar to Jasmine, like I feel shy and quiet too, but it took a long time for me to um, become more confident as a leader. And I just remembered thinking, I don't know how I will outshine, the other applicants. How do I make myself stand out? Because I'm not the type to be, bold and um but I think one thing that I did that really helped was collaborating with the other candidates. So we did a business case interview, and somehow I was the only person chosen out of that group interview to be selected into this program. And then it's a 2-year program, and I decided to join the leadership team. So I went ahead and applied, and then um, I wanted to be the communications leader. I had to go through interviews again, and then I am glad that I did that, even though it felt uncomfortable for me, because that was when I really learned management skills. I led a team of 30 high potential leaders across the globe, and that was such an invaluable experience. um, most of the time, worked during my off hours to support this program, keep it running. And I just finished my position, so I'm glad that I went through all of that, because it has really taught me just really important leadership skills. And as a leader, I've learned to really care for my team and empowering others rather than myself. That's the difference between an individual contributor versus a leader. When you're an individual contributor, you're really focused on yourself, and growing your experiences. But when you're in a leadership position, you want to help someone else succeed. So you find ways to help them grow their experiences. And that's what I really enjoy about being a leader, is
Indeed,
empowering
that's
others.
that's a great quality to have, and man, that's pretty awesome of you.
Thanks.
Indeed, most definitely. And Jasmine, you were part of the race and equity team, I believe, and the family engagement team towards social justice within the school system at your school community with the students, families, and staff. How did you get involved with the race and equity team there?
Yeah, so I like I said before, I'm a third year teacher, and at our school, it seems like there was a race and equity team before, but they stopped meeting. And then last year was kind of another like a jumpstart year. So me and another teacher, we wanted it to be a thing, because we believe that race and equity is important to have as its own committee. So it shouldn't be like dispersed in other committees. It should be its own group. And during online learning, especially, well, actually before the school closure in March, we were taking steps to help our staff be comfortable talking about race. So right before that happened in March, we were going to have our staff submit situations in school where they saw a teacher or were in a position where they saw racial inequity in our school. So that might be like an interaction that they witnessed with a student or with a staff member. And then we were going to have them submit it anonymously. And then we would talk about it as a staff in small groups and kind of problem solve that together. So our team has been really wanting to have race be an important conversation for everyone, because that this past school year was my second year of teaching. So my first year of teaching was getting to know the staff and building my relationships with them. And then last year I felt more confidence in myself. So that's when I wanted to help, contribute more to how our school is. And so we want our staff, because we get a lot of new staff, we want to have the same vision. So we want to change our charter that we have, and include race and equity in there. We want to have conversations with the staff about our identities and how that affects how we teach. And through online learning, I'm not one to take credit for stuff, but I did help our staff facilitate conversations around how teachers taught about Black Lives Matter after George Floyd video surfaced. So that was a really important time for us to make sure that our staff had a chance to share what they taught their kids and what their kids said. Because at the end of the day, we have our classrooms, but all of the kids are all of our kids. So we want to change that narrative so that we're a community, a school community working together. And eventually our team would love for our staff to be able to call out racism in our school. And with that, we have to build a lot of trust and work on our relationships and learn more through professional development. So we're making steps towards making our school better. How I see it is like changing the school within the system, because we're teachers, we're working with the kids every single day. And if I can help our school be more equitable for our students and families, that would be a dream, because I can influence my kids in my classroom, but those are just like 20 kids a year. But if I can help impact the whole school and help our teachers reflect on experiences that they have in the classroom, questions that they have, be open to talk about things in the news and things that are happening that are important to talk about, I want to help facilitate that. So I've been trying to take on more leadership in that committee. And yeah, we just met this week too. So even though school has been closed over the summer, we've been meeting and figuring out ways that we can still engage our families during this online learning time, which is another story, but exposing inequities at this time in our school system. So yeah, it's never going to be won, the fight, but if we can try our best every day, I think that's moving towards the right direction. So
I'm so proud of Jasmine.
It's
been, especially with COVID-19, all of us moving into that virtual world, for adults, even we're having trouble navigating around this. Can you imagine what it's like for kids,
Yeah. And that week when we taught Black Lives Matter over Zoom, I needed a few days to process through what happened and then process how to tell the kids about it and how to help them talk about it. So it's definitely a lot of work and it's not easy, especially for teachers that aren't used to talking about race. Yeah.
Indeed. And we need to definitely go back to the saying, united we stand, divided we fall. And we need to stand united and find some ways to unite us, no matter in any form. And mostly you were in the press recently for the Women of Color magazine as one of the nation's technology rising stars at the upcoming conference and by General Motors. How did you get that recognition? What made you stand out the most?
Story with that because the program manager of the Leadership Next program came to me and she wanted to nominate me. I replied back saying, I don't think I deserve this. I don't want to apply because I don't think I deserve it. I don't work in technology. I see many engineers and, scientists getting this award, and I'm just a project and program manager. I don't think I should even try. She came back and she gave me a lecture. She's like, Melissa, you have so much to be proud of, all of what you do for the program, stepping up into that leadership role, all of the projects that you've accomplished. And, your education. You've done so much and you deserve, to be recognized. So I took the time to apply. It was like a 9-page resume that I had to complete. So that took me, a couple days to do that. And I applied. A few months later, the results came back and they told me that I was one of the nominees. I was really excited. I remember telling Jasmine about it. I was so excited. I was like dancing around the house.
She worked so hard on that application. I remember.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I'm just sad I won't be able to go there in person.
yeah.
It's fully virtual. But then again, I'm really honored to get the award, and I can't wait to attend virtually this October. And it's a 3 or 4 day conference filled with learnings, topics on diversity and like women empowerment. So I will be attending and jotting down notes, and I will share everything that I'm learning on our blog at twoAmericanSisters.com. It's, it costs a lot of money, to attend a conference of this caliber. So, it's like $1,000 per attendee. So I know a lot of people are not as privileged or not as fortunate. So I can't wait to share my learnings with everyone who, will be interested.
Indeed. And congratulations, and indeed, hopefully they have it on YouTube and we can check it out together and cheer for you from here. So Jasmine, you also provide mentorship to the teacher candidates of color through STR. You're also a second member of the Educators of Color Leadership Community. And correct me if I'm wrong, is it Puget or Puget?
Puget. Kind of J sound.
Awesome. Through the Puget Sound Educational Service District. And how did you get involved with that?
Yeah, so with the Educators of Leadership Community, I found that through my coach from STR. So it's amazing because it's a group of educators in Washington State. So there are educators from different districts. And this past year was my first year doing it. And it was nice because we got a chance to get out of our classrooms and have meetings where we would talk about identity, about our family, about challenges that we have in our schools as teachers of color. So I feel like really strong with my network of educators, and joining the ECLC is nice to meet other educators from different districts to see what they're doing and what they're experiencing. And I think it's just important to expand your network, right? To get to know other people and to kind of compare your like situations. And then with the mentorship, like I said before, I'm trying to be more of a leader and my dream is to be a mentor teacher. So I've been involved in STR through basically giving advice for residents of color or applicants of color who want to go through STR, like how I did. So some of them have come to my classroom to observe me teach and ask questions. This past year, I had a resident come in to observe me throughout the whole year. And so I was kind of like a mentor to her, and I was there for her to answer any questions that she had about the program, because sometimes you can't always talk to your peers or teachers about things. So it's nice to have another person who's not grading you or observing you formally. And then this summer, Brian Tozel from UW, he asked me to be a mentor teacher.
That's University of Washington.
Yeah, University of Washington. I said that a lot. But I virtually mentored a group of educators in the English Language Learner Endorsement program that I did. So I'm kind of just giving back to my programs that I've been involved in. And I think through these experiences, that helps me be a little bit more confident when I have a mentor, a mentee for the whole school year, which I feel like with teaching, you never really finish. Like you never really know when you're done learning. Like you're always learning and growing. So I think people are trying to convince me to be a mentor teacher next year, but I still feel like I'm still trying to figure it out.
You should. All it takes is someone to believe in you. And
Yeah.
you'll believe in yourself.
Yeah, but I've been trying to take on those opportunities to meet other people and to build my own leadership. So
Indeed, never stop learning for sure.
Yes.
Indeed, and mostly, you enjoy being a mentor yourself and a life coach to young business professionals. How did you get involved with working with young business professionals?
There's not really a program. I just opened myself up to anyone. If they tell me that they want to become a project manager, then I'll just take them under my wing. I'll tell them to set some time up with me, and I'll share some tools and best practices, templates that I use, and I just want everyone to learn, what I know, all the knowledge that has accumulated all these years. I want to be able to share that with aspiring leaders. So anyone who comes to me and they ask me questions about what I do, or they want to get to know me better, or they're looking for projects. Sorry, my dog. He wants me to pick him up. So then, yeah, he's down here shaking the webcam. But yeah, I'm open to mentoring anyone, and I think, yeah, anyone of all types of backgrounds. Right now, I have a couple of leaders under my wing, and I meet with them like every 2 weeks or every month. But I also have mentors myself. So I have a handful of mentors who I meet with monthly, quarterly, so that they can check in with me and I can talk to them about, what's going on with my career, if they have any help needed, if I have any questions for them. But they help guide me. They help me. They help direct me into the right path. Like if I am stuck with a situation, I can lean on them and bounce ideas off of them. So I think it's really important to have mentors in your life. And for any leader out there, you've got to give back too, and also help empower future leaders.
Indeed, keep that cycle going and always pay it forward. It's always the best.
It is.
Indeed. And are there any final words you'd like to share with the viewers out there?
Yeah, we want to share about our website. It's twoAmericanSisters.com. We just launched August 1st, and already there's a huge momentum going because, well, Jasmine recommended this features section where we highlight the accomplishments of leaders, of anyone. You don't have to be in a high position. You don't have to be someone famous or a celebrity. We want to highlight people from all walks of life. And you can share a little bit more about that, Jasmine, the features section.
So the features section is amazing, and I hope that you make time to read through everyone's bios. But the idea came about because I want people to share their experiences and to know. It's interesting because when I ask people to be a part of it, they always tell me, like, I don't see myself as a leader, or what can I have to contribute? But I feel like as you move through life, no matter what age you are, you have learned something that can help someone else. So, and if you go onto the website and click the feature section, you can see a whole map of people. And my idea for that is, how amazing would it be if a young child goes on that page and sees all of the amazing people of color in our communities, and to see what they're doing at this time in their life, and to kind of like open opportunities for them. Because yeah, we've also gotten to learn about people that we didn't know before, and learning about their accomplishments and how they have given back to our communities. So yeah, so Sareth, I would love for you to submit your bio. Yeah,
Indeed.
and anyone who would be interested, you're welcome to fill out the form. All you have to do is read the directions, fill it out, and then we'll just put it in a blog post for you that you can share with your network.
Yeah, we're willing to share anyone. And then also the website encompasses many different categories, such as our blog, where we write about our experiences, our life experiences. We'll share leadership tips and advice. We will share our family's Khmer recipes. We have the people of color businesses, where we interview small local businesses and get to know them and help promote them. And we also have a podcast that we started as well, where we bring in multicultural leaders from the community, as well as we'll have episodes where we just, the two of us, talk about our
about
experiences and stories.
about various topics and
Mhm.
issues.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What else do we have? That's all we have, right?
Yeah. And then we're also in that people of color section, we also talk about events and activism. So we want now that we're at this point in our life, we want to give back.
Mhm.
So
That's right.
and we want to be more involved in the community and also making sure that we learn about what's going on and how we can help.
Yeah, because for a long time, like we've just been really busy with work and school. We had no time for anything else. What you're hearing in the background, the squeaky noise, is from my dog. He's playing a toy.
He's like, you're not listening, you're not looking at me,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna play.
He's throwing a tantrum. Anyways, well, and then we're open to being invited to be like on your podcast, anyone else's podcast, and to helping out. Like really, we're just focused on giving back. And we're pretty active on Instagram.
Thanks, Melissa.
You can find us at Two American Sisters. And we're really excited that, the positive feedback that we've been getting, because we didn't think anything would happen really with our podcast or Instagram. So it's amazing to see the support and love from our community. We had no idea that there's so many Khmer people out there and non-Khmer people who are supporting, this type of work. And we're just really just so motivated to keep going. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And I'll definitely fill out the podcast one, because like I was looking through the features on your website, and I'm like, man, they have really long answers, and all my answers are so short. And like,
there are some short answered ones too.
Yeah, I was trying to tell you, Sarah, that like I feel like sometimes people that say the least are very powerful. So, and Sarah, like no matter what your writing abilities are or whatever, like I want to have your ideas there and your experiences there so people can learn from you. And I want you to be confident in yourself in what you've done. So please.
We all have something. We all have something to contribute.
Indeed. Like what got me stuck was like, what is like like your one main accomplishment that you're proud of? And I'm like, there's so many aspects of my life that it's just so hard for me to choose just one.
You can put more than one if you want.
Okay, I was just like, I was stuck, and I'm like, I don't know. I prefer the audio and visual aspect of this thing, like this. And
yeah. Well, I can always call you and I can type it for you if that's better.
Indeed, but I'll definitely try filling out the podcast one, and that's like more of my cup of tea. And
because you're an amazing leader too in our community, so I want to feature you.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, I'm like so tired of like writing, and that's why I haven't written any articles. I'm like, I'm so burnt out of all my writing days. I'm just like, this is so much easier, and throw it on YouTube, my website, and then boom, it's all done. And it's just so much easier.
Well, there's no deadline, so you can take as long as you need.
Indeed, for sure. And it's such an honor and a blessing for you both to be my guests this week. And I'm glad we got to pick up where we left off last week. And
I'm sorry about last week.
It's totally okay. I'm glad this one went as well, and your dog was able to be a part of it too, in some form or fashion. And it was great to learn about you both. And I'm honored, as I mentioned earlier. And without I'm speechless of all your accomplishments and your leaderships and
so much.
All that
it's
good
a pleasure
stuff.
being on your show, and thank you for asking very thoughtful questions. And we're so thankful that we can share our story with the world.
Indeed, likewise. And but yeah, in the beginning I felt like I was reading too much off of it, like it was a script or something. And then I'm like, I'm gonna try and shorten it up a little bit and on the fly. So hopefully that worked out well.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Melissa and Jasmine. It's an honor. I'm Leah, and I look forward to seeing you all in the near future and catching up with all your accomplishments here soon.
All right, sounds great.
So much. Bye.
Take care and good night.